Hi, this is Arif from TechShare. Today, my plan is to make a video on Sitecore JavaScript service. In short, we can say JSS. So my plan is actually to create a couple of videos. So the very first video that I'm going to create today will be based on the in set up the total environment, like your server side or Sitecore side setup, that we can say your setup the server component, and also I'm going to cover how can we set up the front end side as well. So let me jump into that. um, so what I'm going to use today is Sitecore 9.2. Okay, and before that I also like to share this tutorial or a blog that I wrote couple of months before, where I explicitly mentioned how you're going to create and set up everything in terms of the site code, server side component, as well as your client side framework. So you guys can have a look at this article as well. I'm going to share this article in the description as well, so you can actually have a look on this if you going to face any problem while you are setting everything. Okay, the first and foremost what I would like to share is this dev.sitecore.net, where you are going to you know uh, get all the necessary things, all the necessary softwares that we need today. So Sitecore JavaScript service, I'm going to use 12 because 12 is compatible with Sitecore 9.2. Okay, so once you click this one, then it will prompt you to agree and accept, and it will download the software for you. Once it downloaded, I already have downloaded, so I can show you the downloaded content in my downloaded folders. I have actually downloaded two versions. One is XP, another one is for XM. So you can actually download either of these, or any of these actually will work for you, so based on your environment that you already have. But yeah, I mean that is quite that is quite okay. So what I'm going to do now is to set up the server side component is nothing but to install that. So for that, if you go to desktop and then uh, development tools and installation wizard, then you are going to see that package already I have uploaded in the system. Therefore, I just can click this choose package and then next, or I can actually do like this next, and then it will go to the next wizard. As I already installed, so I'm not going to install again. And once you install that, the next immediate step is to create a API key. So what is API key? Well, if you want to communicate to a server, for example, then you need to pass the API key so that server knows that who you are and what is your intention and everything. Okay. So based on that, Sitecore already introduced SSC Sitecore service client, and version I believe, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 9 or something. They also have facility to create API key. So in order to create API key, where you need to go is uh, just go to content editor here. And just one note, if you find any documentation, Sitecore documentation especially, then you're going to see that they use the code database to find the API key. But the reality is you are not going to find API key item in code database. You need to use the master database, because yeah, in the first version I still remember Sitecore service client, because I was also working to that team to create the Sitecore service client enhancement features. So that time initially we actually created Sitecore service, sorry, API key item in code database, but later actually we moved to the master database so that you can create as many key, and later on you can actually publish. So the publish feature is there, so that once the API key is published, that API key is ready to use. I mean, that will definitely go to web database. Therefore, you are going to create any application through that. So for that, where you can go is just go to system settings, and then see service. In the service, you're gonna see that there is a API key folder, right? And also the throttle strategies. So I will maybe cover throttle strategies in the next video, but yeah, I mean, I already have a couple of blogs for that, so you can actually have a look and how can we create different strategies to throttle your request. I mean, to restrict your number of requests to the clients. So you can do that through different strategies you can create and you can apply in your API, API key items. But that will cover in the next video. But the first video, very first video is in the API key. So if you right click this API key, you're gonna see that you can actually create API key and order type item API key. So yeah, so the very easy thing is right click, create API key, and once you create the API key, then you are going to see this item. Okay, the very important thing, and for the purpose of this tutorial, I am going to actually permit all the origins. So no need to worry about where you are going to, which client you are going to um, service through this API key. Doesn't matter because it will accept actually all the origins, also the allowed controllers. So for example, if you have um, yeah, I mean, it means, I mean, you can actually allow all the controllers. Okay, so yeah, so okay, and also you can impersonate user. So I actually used extend anonymous, and you need to publish this API key item. And the very important thing is, in order to test whether your API key item is working with, you already first installed JSS, right? Server side components. So you need to test your JSS service is working or not. So how can you service the JSS? Actually create a layout service. Already it installed a layout service. You need to see whether the layout service is working or not. So how you can do that is, there is a layout service. So if you go here, so I have already this layout rendering, and there is the API key. So if you just paste this API key and enter, then just wait for a while. So you see the item is there, right? This item is coming. Which item is coming? So here I am going to access item root. Therefore, we are going to get the Sitecore very root item. So let me uh, expand this and try to give a clear uh, picture on that. So let's go here. So preview. So yes, so you can see the Sitecore context. You're gonna get all the details and also the root. Okay, so I'm not going to describe all the details right now here, but what I want to make sure that everything is not working. That is something, this URL it is working means it is kind of a proof that the application or JSS is working in the Sitecore site. So what now I need to do is to create a client application, and then we will actually connect to Sitecore and we'll publish that application to Sitecore, and we'll see how it actually transfer to Sitecore and how it works. Okay, so quickly, my first video would be to cover um, the setup scenarios. So probably I'm not going to cover a lot of things today, but just to preparing your environment so that I can continue with my next couple of series of videos. Okay, so that's done for server side, right? So let's jump into the Visual Studio Code. So I am now here in my local directory. So what I need to do is first create a application. Okay, before that, how you are going to create application, because already Sitecore provides you a CLI. You can use that. First you need to install that CLI, Sitecore CLI, so that you can have all the commands that you can use to create your JSS applications, and all the different commands that we are going to use in future, like to publish the application, to connect to Sitecore, to publish items individually, to publish even templates, everything. And also you can create your different components through different commands. So first and foremost, we need to install the Sitecore CLI, JSS CLI. So for that, what you need to do is, there is the article I already shared to you. So the very first thing is npm install G means globally you are going to install this one, so that next time we can also use the same command. I mean, same create on all the commands we can create. So that will install actually globally. So this command we are going to use. So I already have installed Sitecore JSS globally, so I'm not going to install again. So right now what I'm going to do is create application. Okay. Okay. So this is my VSS Visual Studio Code, and here we can use JSS create command. So JSS create, then we can pass a application name. So my test app. And then as a fourth parameter, you can pass the language we're going to use for that. So you can use Angular, but in my case, I'm going to use React. Okay. So now it will take a bit time to install all the packages and also the application itself. Okay, you can see here now the application is being created, and all the necessary packages and everything is installed. So there you go. So now let me open the project. So cd, we need to cd, and the folder is my test app. And there, what you need to do is we can use code and then dot. In that way, we can use the entire project in a new Visual Studio Code window. Okay, so now I am here. So let me open the PowerShell terminal. So you can see here the left side we have the project. So in the project, what I need to do first now to run the default application that we just set up. So for that we can use JSS start command. Okay. So if you run JSS start, then you are going to see the application is in running in a browser. Okay. Okay. So the application is running localhost 3000 port, and here you can see it is loading now. And for this application, it is not necessary to have Sitecore in your local machine at all. So this application will be totally disconnected from the Sitecore. Okay, it means it is now running as a disconnected mode. So wait for a while. Okay, you can see here this is already served. So you can see the default application template and everything is running here. So you can actually create you can actually click this documentation link, then it will actually land to your documentation page, style guide, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to elaborate in details about this, the default template and how you can customize the page, how you can create your different renderings. Normally what we do inside code is we can create our different component, we can create our renderings through that, and then we can actually attach all the renderings in a page in different placeholders, and then we can see a whole application or whole page running inside code, right? So the same thing we can do here in client side as well, and that will be covered in the next videos. But for today, what we going to do is now, we already showed you how we can set up the server side component, and we prepared our server side, and now we actually installed the Sitecore CLI, and we create our first applications already, and now it is running in our browser in a disconnected mode. So all the data you see here, it is being provided from this application as a static data. So the data, if you expand this data folder, then you are going to see all the different directories as well, and those actually nothing but some sort of source of data. So the whatever the data you're going to see now, this is actually being provided from this route and en. So if you open this en route, then you are going to see the definitions of your placeholders, your page where it has the title, everything, and you can see all the data is being provided here, static data. So yeah, and it actually needs a bit clarification in details, elaboration of everything, like what is the purpose of data, and what is this dictionary content, and then what is this site code directory where you are going to see all the important, files in the manifest folder, where you can see in the manifest you have this sorry, not the manifest is also important, but important is this definition as well. This definition directory, you are going to see all the different definitions of content, dictionary, placeholder, routes, and everything, so on and so forth. So now we already saw a application running in a disconnected mode. Now we need to see how we transfer. We yeah, I mean we can do two things. We can actually run the application as a connected mode. Then what will happen? It will actually connect your Sitecore. It will bring all the data from the Sitecore and it will show you. Number one. Number two, you can publish your application to Sitecore, and then from the Sitecore you can actually browse all the items and everything. Even you can open the application different pages in experience editor. You can actually edit at runtime. Whatever the things you can do there. So now what I'll do, I'll actually try to connect the application to Sitecore so that we can publish the application to Sitecore. That I'm going to do right now. So for that, what I need to do is just stop this application for a while, and then what I need to do, there is another command for this. Okay, the very first thing we need to do is go to your so if you see here in Sitecore, we have this config directory. The config directory, if you open the configuration, then you're going to see that there is a configuration file. So when we deploy this application, this configuration file will also going to deploy in Sitecore as well. So in the deployment config file, in the configuration file, what you can see is there are a couple of things that we need to configure appropriately or accordingly. So number one is your host name. So host name I can see here, my test app dev.local. So what we need to do is you need to go to Sitecore, the real site, where we need actually this host to be mapped or binded in the Sitecore, same site. So for that, what I can do is here, this is our site, SC92 dev.local. Okay, so if I go here and binding, so before do the binding, we actually need the host entry. And for host entry, the easiest thing is use the sim solution. So what I'm going to do is I will open sim, because sim has a host editor. Sitecore instance manager, open this one. Okay, escape for now. Okay, okay, so here we can use the host editor bundle tools. So just add an entry here and paste this my test app dev.local. Okay, so that will actually modify the host file. And in the Sitecore application website binding, what I am going to do is I will input this host name, the one that I just made in the host entry. So yeah, so that what it will do is it will actually make that host available for us in the Sitecore. So it is done, the host name part is done. So now what I'm going to do is I will add another command, JSS Setup. So once you use this command, then you're gonna see instance accessible via network share, yes. And then you need to provide the root folder path. So root folder path we have here, this is my root folder path until www root, and this is my root folder path. So I'm going to provide this on here, enter, and then I need to use the host name http and yeah, okay. So for that, the host name I just used is, open this bindings, and then this is my, but would be http in front. So I can use http and then paste it here. Okay, and then how it's saying this import. So I will just press import so that it use the default one. And then Sitecore API key, this is very important. So whatever the API key I created before, we are going to use that one. So in the Sitecore content editor, you see this is my API key. So copy that one and paste it here and enter. And for deployment secret, just press the enter so that it creates a random deployment secret. So everything should be fine. Now, if everything goes smoothly, then we actually can use another command that will transfer all our application. But before that, what I can do is to deploy the config. So JSS deploy config. So what it will do, I believe the command is okay. What it will do it will actually use the configuration file, this my test app config file that I created before here, not created actually, modified accordingly. So it will actually pass this file to Sitecore. So in the Sitecore, if you open the Sitecore directory here, then inside the app config include in the ZZ folder, what you are going to see is our new deployment file is already transferred here. So this is my one, my test app.config. Okay. The next thing is to deploy the application to Sitecore. So for that, what we have is JSS deploy app, and then we need to include all our directory and all the C and D. This is the command. So it will actually give you the result immediately what is going on here. So CD means include your content and include your uh, directories. It means actually overall everything it's gonna include and it will publish. So what it does is, if you see here the article that I wrote before, okay, it will give all the things in clear details. So you're gonna see here, this is something I used. So yeah, so this is a deploy app C and D. Okay. Okay, all right. So let's open here. It's still working. By that time, why not I open the documentation and try to give you the context about C and D. Okay. So this is the site code. Get started. Okay. Now here, this is the server side and app deployment. See, if we open the app deployment, then you're gonna see this is the thing that we already did, right? So this is the easiest way. So I actually showed you everything here, and this is the deploy config, and then we're going to see. Okay, so C and D means include content and include dictionary. Okay, so it's going to deploy your application and also associated all the necessary content that it has, and also the dictionary items and everything. Okay, so it's still working. So you can see here the progress, and what it's going to do is, it will create all the necessary templates, all the items, all the renderings, everything that's associated with this application, and it will group everything in Sitecore as a project. So the project is will be my test app. So this is the application, test application, or the application we named it. So it will use all the things grouped by this name as a project. So that is really good. And when it will finish, then we'll actually see what it transfers to the site core. Okay, so probably it's pretty close to the finish line. Okay, okay, so still is in progress. It's not going to take too long. Awesome, done. So once it's done, so let me open the content editor and refresh. Okay, it's loading. It's loading. Yeah, I mean, it will take a bit time because it transfer all the files to Sitecore. So definitely the IS should be reset. Application will be recycled. not ISD, sorry. Application should be recycled. That's why it takes a bit time. So anyway, so this is my my test app that the same app that we actually developed. This is a sample app, and if you see the grouping, okay, so this is the home item, and this home item has the associated presentation. Therefore, you can browse that home item, and in the home item you can see it is grouped. The content block is nothing but a kind of item. This is actually a template. It comes from a template. So this home item is item. It may have many different items grouped together, and in the presentation you will see that those items can be added as a component in different placeholders. I'll share all the details in the next video very soon, and till then, bye bye.